At the risk of being repetitive, I say make a few statements, and also commend colleagues who have spoken earlier. My introductory remarks will go to confirm and support what the honourable member just said, and also toe the line of diplomacy, not to unnecessarily dramatize or speak to the matter. I think the narrative is known to all of us, and except to add that it is most ironical that we are gathered here, we were gathered here, we still continue to gather here in the context of the country, South Africa, and yet these happenings keep occurring and reoccurring. It's most unfortunate, and we must be seen to be taking some action. Mr. President, I have worked with you. I have a lot of confidence in you. I know the passion with which you work. But it will be the height of mockery if all we can do is just make some cursory statements on the floor specific to this matter and allow the matter to fester. Yes, we agree that it's a sovereign country. Yes, we agree that they are an independent country. Yes, we agree that we will not unnecessarily interfere in domestic affairs. But international practices and convention and the overarching rules governing the African Union frowns upon most of the things happening in this country, and we cannot pretend about it. I think I'll leave it at this point on this subject matter. I have heard colleagues speak to funding, and it's justifiably so. The funding is the oxygen that we have to prosecute our various business, and so most critical and is important. But there is a flip side of the argument of calling for funding. And that side is we also justify our inclusion. We cannot be calling for funding at one breath, repeatedly and consistently calling for funding, while we are not justifying why the funds should come. So we should also be seen. The little funds that we have received, in proper context, I'm saying, all committee leadership have their defined rules. And all of us are parliamentarians here. We say that a parliament is as good as its committee. So most of the work that cannot be done at plenary is done at the committee level. Works done at the committee level, do we follow through to its logical conclusion? Our concerns. And I submit strongly that unless we do that and justify to the African Union that we have come of age and we are making good use of the funding they are releasing to us, Mr. President, we will not be convincing. And I want to urge you to let you know that those of us who are elected as chairpersons of committee, if you speak to everybody, everybody is committed. You are ready to do the do. But I guess the leadership must come from you. Yourself and your deputies must show leadership. Then all of us will be carried along for us to achieve what we seek to achieve. I recall your acceptance speech, the passion with which you spoke. We pray that that passion is still there. We pray you are still committed to achieving what you spoke to. And I want to assure you that as long as you are committed, committee chairs and committee leaders, rapporteurs, all of us would also be committed. Let me make this comment on model laws. Under the current circumstances, we can only focus on model laws because our core function as a legislative arm of the African Union now is suspect under the circumstance. So we cannot make laws. What we can do is you pass model laws. Now, the model laws they are not an imperatives. No country can be forced to to enforce model laws passed by the PAP. We can't. Okay, so what do? What we should be doing is not the number of model laws that are passed. I recall when we passed the model law regarding soil fertility, and I think food security is good. A continent that is an agrarian country, that should be a concern. But the question is, do we pass the model laws and go and sleep? We pass the model laws and probably live in silos, because the model laws that are passed, we don't carry along our speakers of various parliament. Because we pass the model laws with an intent that it will be a convincing laws to our various countries. So then they pass domestic laws channeled along those model laws. That is the reason why we pass those model laws. It was not just for the beauty why we pass those model laws. It was not just for the beauty of it. So in functioning our programs, model laws being passed is work in progress. We must also be seen to functioning programs where various speakers of various parliaments would also pass domestic laws that are functioning along the model laws. I want to say that, Mr. President, there's a lot you have to achieve. Or I should say, there's a lot we have to achieve. But we should not be overly carried away by the preponderance of what we want to achieve. But we should be focusing on specifics, even if it is three thematic things that we are able to achieve within your tenure that we can be proud of. It is far better than focusing our energies on these three than spreading wide. We are doing that, we are doing food security, we are doing that, we are doing that, we're doing that. At the end of the day, there is little to write home about. So I'm simply saying, we should be more specific in terms of what we want to achieve. And so that at the end of the day, when the history is being told, Mr. President, even though all of us will bear part of the blame that we didn't do well, but you will bear most of the blame, but because you were the president. But I'm very positive that it will not be a blame-bearing opportunity. It will be an opportunity where we can all glorify ourselves and say that we move beyond the rhetorics. Because when you tell your colleagues at home that you are going to PAP, then they will ask you, so PAP, what do you people go to do there? You go and fight. At least now we are not fighting. Those days when we used to fight physically, people take off their jackets and be fighting. We are not fighting. We have made progress. We have amended our rules of procedure. But when I go home, what am I going to tell my colleagues back home? I went to PAP and we didn't achieve anything. We just went to talk and drank tea and came back. That for me should change. And I have confidence in you, Mr. President, that we can change that narrative when we work together, we work with specific purpose, and we are also disciplined. For instance, with greatest respect to my colleagues, it cannot be, and it doesn't happen anywhere in any parliament, where at a session somebody can speak for 1 hour. It is not done anywhere. You can't do that. You have 2 minutes, and you are supposed to respect the 2 minutes. You have one person to speak, you speak, and that's it. We move on. That, for me, is a discipline that must be associated with this parliament. And it's not because somebody hates anybody, but because we have a common denominator, which is a common rule, and all of us must respect it. You can't take the platform and speak for one denominator, which is a common rule, and all of us must respect it. You can't take the platform and speak for 1 hour. It's never done anywhere. And Mr. President, I want to plead with you, be tough on us. If it is 5 minutes, let's all lead within the 5 minutes, and then we can make progress. And that rule also applies to me. So I will not too excessive. Mr. President, yes. Yeah, that's good. Mr. President,
let the rules start to apply now.
Yes, agreed. I agree with you. There's a concern which is so obvious, Mr. President, and I'm sure you know it. Cooperation and collaboration amongst our regional caucuses is suspect. For instance, West Africa caucus, we have a number of countries, Gambia and co, Ghana, Nigeria. What is the collaboration amongst ourselves? That is why people say that it is easy to travel to Europe than travel in Africa. And caucus chairs, unfortunately, I couldn't listen to you. You should be telling the Bureau what the plans are in the next 1 year. How are we going to build on synergies amongst ourselves? For me, it's very fundamental. And because I've already said I don't want to talk much, I have much to say, but I don't want to talk much. Let me conclude on COP 31. When you set rules, you need to respect the rules. Mr. President, COP 31, and my good friend, the chairman of Economy and Rural, yes, he had, I know how passionate he is. In my other word, I was on that committee. The world now is talking about, the narrative globally now is about carbon finance, and then, carbon credit. It is not just words. You will not go to the global stage and go and say that I'm from Africa, therefore they should give me billions of dollars. It will not happen. The people who lead the crusade in terms of carbon credit and climate finance are experts. And so, member countries, we should be seen to be building experts who can lead the narrative. Because other countries are gaining. The UAE, for instance, has a huge potential to collaborate with Africa. But because we don't have the experts, we are always being shortchanged and cheated. And these are